Okay, what we're going to do now is look at a table where it is in the wrong format, but we want to make it a format that's suitable for a publishable paper. So I think step one, we want to get rid of the spacing that is above and below all of the different cells. So one way of doing this is first to go up to here, and it's of course you click on one. That doesn't necessarily give you more less spacing, okay, but what you need to do is go to line spacing options and you click on 0 and 0 here, and then you set the line space to exactly. Now this is 11-point font, so you put on 11 and then OK, then suddenly you've got a closer spaced outline. Now you can go back and then change it to 1.1.5 or down to 1, and then they'll take it back to where it originally was. So maybe it was too tight, so we try that again. We want to put that on 0 before, 0 0 after, then line spacing and make it exactly. Let's make it 12 point, and then that's much closer to what we want. So we've got a special table here, and the next part of the table is maybe to take away all of the lines, because most journals don't like lines everywhere around every cell. We may have a one line for the top and bottom. Okay, so then we got the bottom, and we're just dealing with the top at the moment, and we want a line for the bottom, so we can click on like that. Okay, so now it's starting to look much better. So we want to have a total in here, total. Okay, and of course we want to line this up perfectly here. So we've got a problem with alignment here. We don't know what the space is in here. So if we click on here, we notice that there's been extra spacing. So you don't want any of that. This is just too much hassle to just add in spacing. You should use tabs or move the whole column, but we don't want spacing like that. Okay, so that's better, and we can make that closer together, because really we don't need the width that this suggests, so we can actually make that closer together like that. Alright, so we push it in as close as possible. There you are, until it wraps around. Of course this is wrapping around, so we may want to push in this side here. So let's push that in, and then that's making it much better. There's a difference there. So we've got target firms, sample firms. That's great. It's starting to look good. So let's just save that for a moment. That's our process. Now what if we change this to a orientation of portrait? So let's turn this around, see what happens. So now we've lost our spacing, haven't we? Let's put it into the center and see how much space we have got. Okay, so that seems about right. We've got about 3/4 inch on this side. We can make that a little bit narrower. So that's starting to get 3/4 inch here. We've got 3/4 inch this side. It's probably closer to what we can work with in a portrait. Always work with portrait if we have to. And then we may want to move in this side here. So let's have a look at how we can do that. Let's just see, can we move this in? No, we can't, because then this wraps around down here. Alright, so we want to add in a few more details at the bottom. And what do we mean? Well, we may want to have a chi-square test. Again, notice when we fill out this, notice you've got one row, but this one's going up and down, so we need to go to the layout, and then we can click here to make every cell the same layout in terms of the same orientation within each cell. We click on this part here, click OK, and we should by rights be doing that for across here, but now I think we want to put in another line in here. I think that's worth doing, so we put that along here. So this is looking much better now. We may want to put a line under these two, and that's looking at target firms, sample firms, difference, that's fine, position, category, and this is table is starting to come alive. Now we may want to have a chi-square test between this group and this group here. So what we could do is then make these, we can merge these, and then we can put chi square test. Okay, and we're going to have the details under here, so we're going to merge those two again, merge the cells, and also again the spacing is a problem, so we want to go back here and then change the spacing to 1, but also we want to go to the spacing option, so we go to 0, 0 and exactly and 12 point, and now we click on here, and so now we have the much closer together. Now we might have to push that up. Now we may push it up too far, but I think that's fine for now. So what we want to do now is not necessarily have all of that row taken up with a line. We may want to get rid of that line, so we're going to go 0, and then we put in a top line here. Okay, so now that's looking much better, and we can decide to add in 2 more tests. Never use wraparound in a table, always create a new row, and we want to get rid of this line at the top here. So again we get 0, and then we put on a bottom line. Okay, so now we've got some details. So now we can put in a chi square, then equals 10.48, and then we don't want to wrap around, so it's better to go to the next row. Okay, do you understand that? Alright, don't just click and wrap around, but go on to the next row. Then we've got degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom, how many do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So our degrees of freedom is 12. And now we don't want to wrap around, we want to go to the next row. And so we have a probability of the chi square equals, and then we can have 0.654. There you go, and there's our chi-square test. So again, now we want to go, maybe we want to get rid of how all the spacing on this one here. So how do you get rid of all this spacing? It looks very strange. We click on here, and wow, it looks like it's been spaced out like that. So we want to go again, line spacing options, 0, 0, single. We want exactly 12 point, like that. And maybe we go into layout, so we want to keep the layout the same, but something's a matter at the problem here, so maybe we push this up. Okay, and so now we can say we want to go back to the home, and then we've got the interview survey and financial archival data sample composition. Okay, so we're comparing 2 groups of samples, or a sample within a sample. Maybe we want to get rid of this top one, so we delete the whole row. That's looking much better. At the top here we're going to have table 5, sample description. Oh, that didn't work. So we're out of control here. We're out of control, if you notice what I did. So first of all, table 5, and again the problem is we should put it in Times New Roman, so table 5, and then we may want to call it sample description. Okay, and then at the bottom we want to, maybe we call this panel A. Okay, panel A, and then now we want to create some more down below. So again, we have made some funny merging here, so we need to be careful, because when we create that we want to know what we have done. So now we've merged these two cells, so we want to split them again. So then we can go split, and then number of columns, number of rows, and then OK, and now it's back to where it was here. Now remember, we want to line up that again, so we go to layout, and we want to line up that again. We want to line up that bottom one, layout, we can line that up again, and so again generic components, we bring that back to here. And so we're worried about this alignment. It's around here, it's just taking up too much space, it looks out of align, so we can push that up like that. Okay, so now we want to go to, finally we want to create a panel B, so we can click on here, and now we can go panel B, so now we can merge that, merge the cells, and we're going to go to the left justification, and we're going to go panel B, and with panel B, differences between interview survey and financial archival data sample firms. Okay, good. And we can decide financial archival data sample. So we want to put a D and a big S between interview survey, and then we're going to put an S here. Again, we want to be consistent with our titling here. Okay, so, and there's a C there. Alright, so now we've got our panel B set up. Of course we can save that, and so now what we want is to have this, we want to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we've got 6, so we're going to have a variable, for example, size, age. Okay, and we're going to have the mean for target firms, sample firms. We're going to have the, for the interview survey, and we're going to have the mean for the financial data firms. We're going to have diff in means, and we're going to have the t-test, and then we're going to have the Wilcoxon test. Okay, and then up here we can have merge cells, and then we're going to have the mean for good. And so now we can put the age, size, and maybe another variable in here, but we want to maybe get rid of one or two of these. We want to delete the rows. What we want to do now is get rid of all of these, so we can click on no border. Alright, of course we want to put one at the bottom, so let's have a look. So let's put a bottom border, okay, and we want to have one under the mean, so we click on here. Oh, we don't want that one, so let's just have a look, see what happened. That was strange, so let's just turn that around. We want to have just it going from here to here. So how do we repair that? Well, we need to go to here. No, we want to go to here, and then we want to get rid of these. We move them down to here. So now we've got a direct one here. We want to merge the cells, and then underneath, and then we can move the mean down to here, and now we can delete this one here. Okay, and we delete the rows there. Okay, so that's better. Alright, and so then we want to have the underneath here, and so that's starting to look better now. We take that away, and this whole table starts to look much clearer, so it's possible. Okay, we want to have a more space here, but not that big a space. We want to just move that up. Okay, but we don't want to show that we've moved it up like that, so therefore we can no border, and then we put in a top border, and so that's better there. Chi-square test, we can actually bold that one. We want to bold panel A. We want to bold the sample description, and we want to bold panel B. Okay, and so that's getting closer to what we want, but we probably want to make these clearer, so we want to make this line up here, so it's not really lining up. That's the problem, so we might have to, and then degrees of freedom, so how do we get that to do it? We might have to merge that cell, we may have to merge that cell and merge this one, and the reason why we want to merge it is we want to make them consistent. So at the moment we can bring this one back and forward like that, and so therefore the equals is in the same place, and this equals in the same place here, and so then that's closer to 1012.564. okay, that's good. And then maybe we want to have a space in here, so we put a plus, and now we have differences, and we've got the mean, so we put the means in there and the test, and so then at the bottom we can have notes. We want to know where we are at the bottom here, so let's just save that. Alright. Oh, I thought we were at the bottom. We want to move the notes. We want to make sure it starts here, so we can have notes, and then we can have copy. Okay, so this is taken out from another paper just to speed up things, so we can okay, and then we can start to edit all of these notes. So let's just put this into Times New Roman. We want them all to be the same size, maybe 10 point, and then we want the spacing between them to be line spacing. Option single, exactly. Okay, we're going down to 11, so it's going to be closer together. Now we can edit that as we wish, and that's ready to edit there. Okay, so that's our notes at the bottom, and there's our table. So I think that's it. So let's just save that, and we can spell this out better, where Fi are the observed frequencies of each industry in the of respondents, industry I, and EI, are the expected frequencies based on the industry composition of the target firms. EI, respondents, sample size, times target firms. And so we need to change that around to make it clear what we are doing. Yes, so let me just save that, and there you have it. So there you have the newly formed table and the proper editing of the table. Of course, we've got to fix up the notes to represent what we're doing here between target firms and sample firms. We're going to put some more details in here, but the table is all there. And overall we can see that we do not do any wraparounds. We will create a new row for every new item in the table, and we try and keep all the rows consistent using this special feature of line spacing option 00, exactly 12 point. So there you have it, and we save that and catch you in the next session. Bye for now.